Okay, today is, what is today? September 27th
Yes, sir, all day long.
till midnight?
No,
All right.
midnight, it's 28.
Yeah. Right, so hopefully everybody's with me on getting at least a rough cut of this scene together. We had a couple of issues with the audio that we fixed. We're going to deal with that again next week when we set up our multi-camera editing. But wherever you're at right now in your editing, it's totally fine. We can deal with these issues, and as far as sound and color goes, we can deal with these issues a little bit now. And then when you get to the end of the project, this is really more of a finishing set of skills, doing the sound and the color correction. It's usually something you do at the very end once you've got your picture locked in. So, but I want to at least want to get you aware of what's going to happen. So first thing, this is a brief sound lesson. We'll get more into sound and sound mastering later in the semester, but the blaring problem so far is the issue with, we had his microphone going into the left channel and her microphone going into the right channel of the camera. So when we play it back, we hear him in our left speaker and her in the right speaker.
Caleb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you been?
Pretty good. How about you?
Okay, and you can see it over here on the right side of your screen, these audio meters. When she talks,
Pretty good. How about you?
the right side goes up. When he talks, the left side goes up. But look at what else I'm seeing here. When she talks, her little green bar goes up to about right here, right? And when he talks, he's maybe getting up to right here. That means they're talking at two different volumes. Maybe she has a voice that carries into the microphone better. Maybe her microphone was just closer to her, who knows? There's lots of different factors that could play. If he really is, as a character, a more soft-spoken character, then we would expect that. But if the two of them are standing next to each other having a pretty equal conversation with one another, you would expect that their audio would sound pretty similar. So let's take care of this issue of one coming out of one ear and one coming out the other ear. Do a quick save on your project. Maybe since we're going to do more editing, maybe don't destroy your edit right now, or remember this and you'll have to repeat it again later once it's all done. But one thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate all of this audio and we're going to put it down on the track below so that we can assign all of the audio from one clip to her and one to him, so that we can get them both to play both out of both speakers. I'm so eloquent today. And to duplicate a clip, there's several different ways. I've got my selection tool right now and I'm going to select this one. I can hit Command C, and then wherever my playhead is, if I hit Command V, or Control for PC users, it will paste that same clip wherever the playhead is. So be careful with this one. If I did it right here, if my playhead is right, let's put it back here, and I hit Command V, it just inserted that over the top of the clip that was already in that place.
What will happen?
Well, it kind of added a cut and duplicated that clip right in the middle of my stairway scene.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Ellie.
Caleb, right?
Okay, so that's what happened. So I'm going to undo that, Command Z. Another way to duplicate a clip. Okay, so while I'm in that realm, see this V1, A1, A2, A3? If I switch that over to V2, turn off A1 and V1, what that does is it changes the target. So if I hit Command V now, it'll paste it onto track 2 of each of those. Okay, so I can paste it in that place and time without having it paste over the top of the video that's in track 1 and have it almost, it's like the same as deleting it and replacing it with the video. This way I have it up on track 2. I still have my stairwell scene, but I also have my copy. Alright, I'm going to delete that. Here's another way you can duplicate a clip. If I hold down Option when I select, okay, hold down Option, select that, and drag it off to the side, while still holding Option down, if I let go, that'll create a copy of it. Okay, not a copy of it on your hard drive, it's just a copy of it on your timeline. What is that?
I don't know.
Oh.
Did you select the blue thing or did you select the clip?
I selected the clip, and then with this all selected, I hold down Alt, then select it. See, it's different than selecting just the audio and the video, because with nothing selected, if I'm holding down Alt, it'll select the single portion. What's that question?
Can you do an option drag to different channels?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. You mean track, right?
Yeah.
Not channel? Okay. Yes, that's what we're going to do. So to duplicate this audio, I need to have 2 copies of it. So first I'm going to hold down Option and drag a box around all this audio to just select the audio. Then I'm going to keep Option held while I click and drag all this stuff down. And right now snapping is on, so it's moving it down to the track below, and if I let go of my mouse, there's my duplicate. I just duplicated all that audio.
So can you just unlock the audio from the video and delete the video?
Well, I don't need to unlink the audio from the video and delete the video because I still want the video. I just need to create a second iteration of the audio.
But if you turn off the video, does that also disable the audio?
No, I can turn off the video. I would have to select only the video, and then I can right click on it, get my beach ball going, crash my Premiere, restart my computer.
Macintosh. Think
This is
differently.
this is an old computer. You're all running newer computers than I am.
My computer.
All right.
Well, my laptop is 6 years old.
So if I right click that, I can select enable, and the clip is still there, it's just we're not seeing it.
So you don't have any problems by putting video on V1 and V2 as long
No.
as they're the same clip.
No, you could put a completely different clip if it's a cutaway. Like if it's a cutaway shot. Because let's pretend she's saying something, but his performance at that moment wasn't a reaction that I liked. I can go grab the reaction from a shot, like a completely different take that I do like, and just put it on the track above and get that quick cut to his reaction. It could be a completely different reaction, but as long as you just use the video that you like of his reaction, as long as you don't see her mouth moving, you can change his performance however you want. I do it all the time. Because, like, so take this for example.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because you know how we do his little,
Well.
this reaction right here?
Well.
You know? We could copy that, put it back here.
Oh, hey,
Hey, Emily.
Caleb, right?
Okay. Obviously that's not appropriate because he's supposed to be delivering a line right there, but it'd almost be kind of funny, like every time she says a line, just cut to him going, ooh, you know? Like 3 different times.
You better be careful. He's gonna be the next meme.
Right?
Yeah, whoa, whoa.
Instead of dabbing, it'll be head bobbing.
Yeah.
Bobbing.
Oh my gosh. Do any of you watch Portlandia?
Yes.
There is some, oh man, the editing in that show is really good. We'll have to watch some of that when we're done with this lesson. We have thoroughly digressed.
Oh.
let's get back to what we're doing with our audio.
I'm not even finished this episode.
Just to review, I'm going to delete that duplicated audio. I'm going to hold down Option or Alt, select the audio from these clips. I'm only doing these because these have audio in them. These are silent. Then with Option down, I'm going to click, drag it down, let go. That creates a duplicate of all that stuff. Okay, so all of his audio is on the left channel, hers is on the right channel. So what I'm going to do with all these selected is I'm going to right click on them, and I'm going to select audio channels, and I'm going to have both of them be the left channel. Okay, so that's assigning just the left channel to both the left and right outputs. So we need to do the opposite for her audio, right? If we want to just hear her. So I'm going to right click on this, go to audio channels, and then select both of the right. So the media source right channel is now coming out the left and right speaker. That's what that means. Okay, so now when we listen,
Oh, hey.
Hey.
see they're both coming out of the middle
Right?
now.
Yeah.
How you been?
All right. Educational? Yes.
But you don't.
But it also updates the waveforms, so we're seeing her in both the left and the right of the bottom clips and him in both the left and the right of the top clips. Question?
But you don't always want to do that because, especially if you want to give some sort of like positional audio, if that makes sense. Like if you want to give them the mental image that, oh, so this sound is coming from over there.
Well, that's when panning comes in handy. As of right now, it's weird to hear him out of the left channel and her out of the right channel because it's literally like in your head echoing back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to have them in front of you, not
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
on the sides. If she were to walk off the side of the screen and say something off screen, then we would probably pan her audio to the right so that it sounds like it's coming from off screen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But for this conversation, we don't want one coming out of one speaker and one coming
Yeah,
out
'cause
of
they're
the other
both-
speaker.
Both
They're both right.
visibly.
Because
right?
they're both right in front of us as audience members. We can see both of them. Question?
Can you link all three of those together, the audio, both audios and the video?
Now that we've got that done.
Yeah.
So Command L, that unlinks them. Okay. So let's select all three of them. Command L. Now they all move together. So yeah, you can. So if you're going to do this and then continue to edit, that would be smart to link all of these together. Make sure that they all move together when you shift them around. All right, so let's talk about these audio levels because she is on average about
Kayla, right?
she's on average about 6 dB louder than he is. She's not going out of safe range. She's actually, her audio is still safe. And what I mean by safe is when these audio meters are bouncing up and down over on the right, hopefully you have your audio meters up. If you don't, go up to Window and select Audio Meters, and that'll expose your audio meters. Typically, dialogue will land or peak at its loudest at about -6. So that's about where you want a person's voice to be, at -6. Hovering around -12, but peaking at -6. That way, if somebody yells, there's room for there to be extra volume if they yell. So usually, when you're recording on set, you want to record the peaks to be -12 and the hovering to be around -18 so that you can always turn it up. So let's zoom in here and let's get into our envelopes. This little white line going in between his two channels of audio is the volume I call it a rubber band or an envelope. Question?
Remind me how to zoom.
You just hit plus or minus next to the delete key. Plus will zoom in, minus will zoom out. And it'll typically zoom in if you, well no, it'll zoom in on your playhead. So if my playhead is over a clip, if I zoom in on, it'll zoom in on the playhead. All right, so if I grab this line in the middle here and pull it up, see those little dB markers? So if those are volume. And you can crank it up to a maximum of 6 dB using this envelope or using this rubber band or line, whatever you want to call it. So let's say over time, if his voice were to trail off, let me find a clip where it does that. Okay, see how he's kind of quiet here? Even more so than here. Let's listen to this, the first part of this clip, and just see how loud he is.
Yeah.
When did you get that last night?
A year ago, actually.
Oh, that's her audio.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do some keyframing here. She's being picked up in his microphone right here. He's saying, oh wow, really kind of under his breath, and then she's saying, yeah. And then he's delivering kind of a softer line right here, but his first line right here is plenty loud. So let's just get him.
That last night?
Okay, so when'd you get that? Last night? Let's get that up to -6. So I'm gonna, when I just played that, it bounced up to about -12, so let's see.
That last night?
Okay, bounced up a little higher than -12, so I'm gonna turn that up +4 and then see where it is.
That last night?
Okay, so that sounded fine. Now what I want to do is if I hit Command or Control on a PC, see that little plus marker that just showed up where my mouse is? If I click on that, that puts a little dot. It's kind of like putting a nail in a pegboard that you're bending a rubber band around. That's why we call it a rubber band sometimes. But it's actually a keyframe. So if I put another one right here where she starts delivering her line, you don't want her audio in his microphone because her microphone's for her. She's going to sound best in her microphone. He's going to sound best in his. So I'm turning her down during her line on his audio. I'm just going to keep adding these. And then when he starts delivering his line again, I'm going to turn it back up. But if I turn it up a little bit more, like 4.9 or 5, that'll give me some more volume for this line, but then I want to kind of dip it back down for her line again. Question?
How did you say you put the dot? What did you click?
I'm just holding down Command with my selection tool and it's adding those dots. So this is kind of extreme, but it's a good example to show you how to kind of even their relative volume to one another. And then when he says this line again also, let me just turn this up also. So let's see how this sounds.
Yeah.
When did you get that last night?
A year ago, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well,
Has it been that long?
yep, it has.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if you really wanted to get granular with this, you could go into hers and just put extra dots in and turn down all the parts where he's getting his audio into her microphone. It's not always necessary to do this because their own audio is loud enough in their own microphones that you don't really have to. But if you're really going to get picky, you can do that.
Yeah.
When did you get that last night?
A year ago, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well,
Has it been that long?
yep, it has.
Yeah.
Another thing you have to be careful of, if you do too much of that, you'll actually start to hear the volume going up and down in the background noise. So I try to limit doing this unless I've got a really good background noise removal tool, and then I'm adding my own hallway noise as background noise that's going to be a consistent background noise throughout the whole scene. So that's another thing about when you're cutting audio together is sometimes from take to take the background noise will change. So you want to maybe sometimes add a little crossfade in the audio when there's a cut in between two shots. Also, adding your own ambient noise will help that, because if we went into a sound effects library and got background sounds, we could add some background hallway noise that would just be a consistent noise underneath, and it would make it seem like it was this busy hallway instead of a classroom full of 20 people just standing around watching.
Is there a plugin or something that we can use to remove the ambient noise from the main
Yeah, there
tracks?
when we get into noise removal, we'll get into Adobe Audition a little bit later this semester, and we can touch on that. I'm not really going to get into that for this lesson. This is mainly just from an editing standpoint, how to correct some of the audio differences in volume in the editor. I'm not going to go through the entire project and do this, but when he's got a good consistent line like that, I might drop it out of her microphone a little bit just so that I get the best audio as possible. And she did have a little bit louder speaking voice than him. That's why she's getting into his microphone so much than he's getting into hers, because he is quieter than she is. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a judgment. Just kidding. All right.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
There's also this pop. Can you guys hear that right before their line starts?
Oh, hey.
I don't think that's I think that's a pop that's in something happening with his microphone. So let's just add a couple little diamonds here and turn that all the way down right where that pop happens.
Oh.
Let's add another one. Just really get rid of it.
Oh, hey.
Sounds like there's some more static happening right before it too. So let's do that. Let's get rid of it completely. Then another thing we can do is right before we have those lines, assuming we're going to go put in some background noise, is wait to start hearing things till a little bit before they start to speak to one another.
Oh, hey.
hey, Emily.
Caleb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How you been?
pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I've been doing good. Are you still dating, what's his bucket?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When did you get that, last night?
Oh wow, we need to turn that oh wow up just a little bit, because these are connecting, so you don't want him to suddenly change his volume, because we did a cut in the middle of his line, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When did you get that, last night?
A year ago, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well,
Has it been that long?
yep, it has.
Yeah.
Oh. I guess let's go. I'll talk to you later.
I guess.
I was going that way.
Oh, well, I'm going that way. We can go together.
Okay, we need to turn up his audio here. She's kind of getting into his microphone right here, so I'm not going to turn that up. But I do want to turn up the rest of this, because he's saying something under his breath, and I want to know a little bit more what it is.
Talk to you later.
I guess.
I was going that way.
Oh, well, I'm going that way. We can go together.
I'll go the other way.
All right. I guess. See ya.
All right, now here's one thing we could do. See how we're a little bit closer in this scene?
Go the other way.
All right. I guess. See ya.
So we could have him be, loud here, and then drop the volume down a little bit, so that we as audience members, as the camera's going away, we can feel like we're going away by having the audio sort of be a little bit more distant. One really good example where the sound mixing was really good, it was an animated film, but was the Lego movie. The part where Lord Business leans forward and he says, "What a bunch of hippy dippy baloney." As he leans closer and closer to the camera, you can hear the difference in the way they EQ'd his voice to make it sound like he is getting closer and closer and more menacing. So where your heads were at the beginning, as far as where the panning is, the placement in the balance left to right, that's a good way to be thinking about the audio as far as the direction the audio is coming from based on their placement in space, volume as far as their placement to the camera, all that stuff is good to think about. But that is a really high-level view of adjusting volume and making sure you have your audio that's recorded in separate channels coming out of both channels. So, any questions before I hold the video and get going on sound or on color? We just did sound. Okay. Let's pause there and we'll come back. And our next video will be color correction.